Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of East Meets West. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the great Stephen Bagell here. Ladies and gentlemen, he is ahead, ahead. You hear me? Of the Center Hub.
That's right.
He also is with the Birds Right Pod and One and Done Pod. Stephen, how you doing today, brother? How's it going?
Uh, I'm doing well. It's long overdue, for me to come on this pod with you guys. So it was a no-brainer when you guys asked me to, jump in and talk some trades. It's almost December 15th, which, as you guys know, is like the unofficial start of NBA trade season.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into it and talk some Pistons and Detroit basketball.
Detroit. And
That's
ladies
right.
and gentlemen, we have the great Conrado Pascual. How you doing, brother? How's it been going?
I'm good. I got two of my favorite guys on talk hoops with me, and as Steven was saying, this is long overdue for a number of reasons. As he already mentioned, trade season is creeping up. We're seeing all these rumors. Probably a lot of misdirection in those rumors, but still a lot of rumors starting to trickle in. And with that, a lot of fans sending out, in my opinion, some of the most god awful trade proposals
For real.
for a number of reasons. Whether they're like just they don't make any sense from a team building perspective. They don't make any sense from a cap perspective. They don't make sense in terms of like just making sense, And so that's why I asked Steven. He has to be on this episode because he is the master. I say this confidently. He's the master of the trade machine. Okay. He is not only a certified NIL agent. Okay. He is actually like an expert at the NBA salary cap. He is a capologist. So I think he can definitely weigh in and tell us what really Pistons fans could expect, if they were to dip their toes in the trade waters.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say real quick, if there's a team that I think NBA fans could really expect to make a splash at, between December 15th and the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree that Detroit has to be up there? Like in terms of just, they have all their picks, they have young talent, they're competitive now, no? Okay.
But no, because we have the continuity factor. Like I feel like we are we don't have the same talent as OKC, but we have that type of like continuity. You know what I mean? Like we just been stacking on top, building through the draft and whatnot. So I feel like we have that continuity. It might not necessarily be as talented, at least right now. Maybe in January, everybody making threes. You know what I mean? But like I really, if we can't get Laurie Markin in for cheap, and let me not kill the episode. Go ahead.
Well, before we start, I'll simply say that I definitely agree with Steven's assessment that the Pistons are definitely one of the teams that are most poised to be able to make a trade, right? Definitely. In terms of having, again, the necessary pieces, like contracts, expiring contracts, young players, draft capital. However, I will go as far as to say I do expect them to make a trade. Now, it may not be as seismic as the ones that we're going to discuss today, but I do believe, while I agree that a large part of what the Pistons have built is based on continuity, I think that every individual player has a timeline with the team. And I think some of the players on this team, their timeline is coming to an end. That's just normal roster turnover. And so I think some of these, I think there's going to be some consolidation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the 15 guys we see here, they're not going to be the same 15 guys next season. It wasn't the same 15 guys, right? They brought into this season weren't the same 15 guys from last year. Right. So that's why I'm saying I think there is a world.
You put it that way.
Where they do make something, right? To kind of, again, bolster their talent while still maintaining that core that's built that continuity. Yeah. So,
Agreed. So How do we go about this? Let me see. Do I need to choose which one? Should we start with Laurie first? Should we start with Laurie since he's like the biggest name? He's the or no, let's start with Anthony Davis first because I don't like this. I don't like this whatsoever. I hate it. I do like it, but let's see what Steve came up with. So we got who you got up here, Steve? Tobias. Ooh,
So
Levert, Ivy, and Sasser. Good lord, bro.
Let Steven explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just from a salary perspective, Anthony Davis makes $54 million. So when you're not obviously throwing in Cade, the next most expensive player on the team is Tobias. So then I was like, okay, I could throw in like Duncan Robinson, Levert, or Beef Stew as like the second guy to get you close enough to the salary. Because I think either way, Ivy is going to be in the deal. From a Pistons perspective, we've seen these past couple off seasons, like guys going into restricted free agency and really not being beneficial for them. We saw that with Cam Thomas on the Nets. We saw that with Quentin Grimes, so on and so forth. Josh Giddey ended up getting paid this summer, but either way, like the Pistons might not want to go down that rabbit hole with Jaden Ivey, and if they're not going to pay him what he's going to want to be paid, he probably has more value to Dallas than he does to Detroit. If that makes sense. And like Detroit could sell it as, hey, it's an expiring contract and it's a young guy. So with that said, I was like, I need to add one of Levert, Duncan Robinson, or Beef Stew. I'm a big proponent of Beef Stew. I think he's one of the better backup bigs in the league. I think he's switchable. I think he's stretchy to an extent. Like I think he provides a lot of elements to Detroit. So then when I was like, okay, Robinson, Oliver, and Dallas already has a plethora of big men. I know he'll giving up Anthony Davis, but I was like, Karis LeVert is still more on ball, so he doesn't fit as seamlessly as well as Duncan Robinson does next to Cade. So that's why to make the salary work, I said, okay, Tobias's expiring contract will be appealing to Dallas, who's a first statement team this year. That'll help them, reset the books next year by letting him expire. Yeah. And then that also gives them the flexibility if they wanted to pay Ivy this upcoming year. Sasser, I just kind of threw in as a sweetener because I do have Detroit giving the 2027 first and 2 second-round picks to the Mavs for Anthony Davis, Dwight Powell, and Dante Exum.
I mean, I'll just say my initial reaction with regards to the draft capital. I think that's more than
what
fair.
I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at.
I mean, again, a first-round pick for a team that we project to be, kind of in the mix for the Eastern Conference for the next couple seasons, right? In this particular iteration of this trade proposal, that would mean it creates the open pathway for Jalen Duren to receive his extension.
Yeah,
as Steven said, right? Ivy, if he's going to get that extension, I don't think it's going to be with Detroit, so it makes sense to kind of move on from him. Again, this is what we're talking about. Balancing the cap sheet, and for those draft picks, I mean, if I'm looking at this correctly, you're giving one first rounder away. In what is, I know, Michael, you don't follow the draft as closely until it kind of comes around, but I think Steven and I would probably agree that the 2027 draft class is relatively weaker than 2026. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, to give up a late first rounder in 2027 doesn't sound that bad. And then, 2 second rounders. I mean, again, if you were to make those selections, do you even have the roster, the roster spots to bring in more rookies, more second round rookies? So from a capital perspective, it seems fair. That would be my initial reaction.
If Anthony Davis can stay healthy. That's really it.
That's also sort of why I gave as little draft capital as I have, because just with Anthony Davis not being healthy and being on the wrong side of 30, I don't know how big of a market there will be for them. So this is a situation where, I don't think Detroit would be bidding against themselves necessarily, but I think they'd be very cautious in terms of how much draft capital they'd be willing to give.
Well, let me
We
ask both
wouldn't
of you. I
really
want
lose
your
too much because we just got done playing without Tobias too, and we were successful. So
Yeah.
I
then
like
that's
the trade in that aspect.
this is what I was saying earlier, right? Where I think everybody, like certain player, well, not certain players, all players have a certain timeline with their respective team. And I think Tobias is like, I don't think his timeline ever exceeded that 2-year deal that he signed with Detroit. You see what I'm saying? No, and I don't say that in a
Yeah.
bad way. That
Right? No.
contract was always right. That number was always written where he could be, again, that better than mid-tier salary, right, to use as salary filler to help facilitate a trade like this.
Right.
So, I mean, like, this is, in my opinion, this is part of what the purpose of signing Tobias was in the first place, other than, providing the veteran mentorship that he has for the last 2 seasons. But let me ask your guys' both opinions. And Steven obviously made the numbers work, but in this scenario, the starting lineup would look something like what? Cade Cunningham, Duncan Robinson, Asar Thompson, Anthony Davis, Jalen Duren.
Yeah.
I like the names. I'm not sure right now in this moment that I like those names together. Like, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think this makes sense?
Um.
Even like just like so say like as they stack up against the rest of the Eastern Conference. Like, does
It
this make
it
sense to you guys?
it makes sense for when we stagger our lineups. To me, you know what I mean. Like we have Anthony Davis, who when Asar is out there, that's a tandem. When Isaiah Stewart is out there, it's a tandem. I don't really see Duran as much of a rim protector ish. Like he's a big, he's got length. He's out there so he can, just make sure that people aren't just dunking on him. But Anthony Davis with select players, yeah. The way I see it is it'll be good staggered, but like to start with him and Duran, like I would almost actually rather, and he would hate it, but Anthony Davis at center and Stewart at the 4, to be honest. Like that type of lineup.
So you're sending Jalen Duren to the bench?
No, and that's the
That's
thing.
what see. That's what I'm saying. Like it.
No, I can't
I
do
like the
it.
defensive. I like their defensive upside,
Yeah.
but offensively, I don't know. Steven, what do you think?
In terms of like how they fit together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
assuming AD's healthy, obviously. I kind of like the fit because Anthony Davis isn't one of those bigs who necessarily need to be in the dunker spot. Like, this isn't like I don't know. Obviously, I'm a Sixers fan, so I kind of relate back to them. This isn't like a Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons situation where they're going to occupy the same part of the floor. Like, I think you're still going to have Jalen Duren in the dunker spot, and AD, could kind of be that mid-range maestro who could also play in the post, be a pick and pop threat with Cade. Like, I think he's versatile enough, and I'm not saying AD is number 1 anymore because obviously Cade would be in this in this situation or scenario.
Easily.
But I think AD hasn't been number 1 for years, and like we saw him win a championship being the number 2 next to LeBron James. So I think he'd acclimate pretty well. And I think Detroit's playing with house money. Like in this specific scenario, they don't lose Asar Thompson. They don't lose Ron Holland.
Nope.
So if they're able to, get Anthony Davis or a name like Anthony Davis while keeping Asar and Holland, I think it's just a gamble you have to take.
Right. Especially with Tobias being able to leave too.
And with that said, I did a 4-for-3 trade in here. That leaves Detroit a roster spot to then the moving Sasser and Ivy. Dan Jenkins then gets his off his two-way and gets a standard contract.
I was about to say somebody else. Okay.
Chris Paul?
Yeah. I love the idea of Chris Paul coming just to drop his knowledge and education off on Cade. Like that would make Cade, you know how much better he would be next year. Like just because you are the one that said he's still got 3 or more levels to go. Kind of like you the one said that. And to have Chris Paul influence that, like man, what we seen what he did with SGA.
If Chris Paul, like I said, if after the trade deadline and in the buyout market is where I would target Chris Paul. I wouldn't trade for him. You know what I'm saying? I would let this play out because I I was actually talking to some of the fellow TCH guys about the whole Chris Paul situation, about where he could ultimately end up, and I was pushing. I was not pushing, but I was saying I think Dallas could be, or not Dallas, Detroit could be a realistic destination for him if he basically accepts doing what he was supposed to be doing with the Clippers, which was, again, really not playing, being more of like that veteran mentor who could play spot minutes, when guys inevitably need to like be load managed and everything like that. I think he could do that for Detroit. But yeah, I guess when you say it like that, it makes sense. I guess I feel like the spacing, because I think Detroit, if there's a few drawbacks to this current Pistons team, is still their spacing issues. Right.
Yeah.
They've kind of, we've talked about this, Jay and I, we've talked about this. At times, they've kind of taken Houston's formula, and they actually beat Houston at their own game, right? Going double big and just trying to win the battle of the glass. I think that could work and make a deep run. I don't know if it's enough to, as they're currently constructed. Actually, now we're saying it out loud, I guess you could do that with Anthony Davis. You could potentially be even better. You don't lose Isaiah Stewart in that, so you can basically go double big at all times. I mean, okay, maybe there is something there. I don't know.
He will have to make shots from
I mean, I'm just really fascinated how the media continues to associate
him.
Anthony Davis
with
specifically in Detroit. Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, how does this work? Steven, in terms of like the long-term ramifications, does that affect their ability, like positively or negatively, to retain the guys that we just talked about? Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, or would they inevitably have to move someone, or AD himself?
So Holland has 3 years left, so he will line up perfectly with Anthony Davis expiring, basically. Okay. In terms of Asar, he has 2 years left, this year and next year, and then he's going to probably get a rookie extension next offseason that'll kick in the following year. It will get tough. I mean, Detroit is, let me see, I'm pulling up the cap sheet now. They're $19 million under the tax, so like they have plenty of flexibility before they're even a tax team. It gets tricky with Duren playing this well. Like, is he going to want $35 million plus?
We should have signed him before the year started.
Yeah, but like, so that's what, like, if Duren's going to want $35 million a year starting, that's where it's going to get tough, because, that's what, 5 for at least 180. Right. Like that's serious money. So Detroit, again, $19 million under the tax right now. They have the flexibility for future years. They don't really have any bad money on the books.
How much money? How much is AD's final year valued at? What's his cap hit?
Well, he's 54 this year. I'm gonna guess I'm pulling it up now while it's loading.
Probably 56, something like that.
He has, in 2027-28, he has a player option of $62.8 million. Next year, he's at 58.5, and then he has a player option. Well, no,
I'm just saying, if for some reason you had to dump him, right? Because that's where you start to really think about this, right? Like the cost, the cost benefit analysis and everything of it. Like, you bring him in now, if it increases your, how much does it increase your likelihood of, like, getting to the NBA finals? It's understandable. But if at the end, in order to secure, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland being on the roster, if you need to burn future draft capital to have to salary dump them, what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of the things you think about now, but I don't know. In the moment, seems a little bit more appealing now that Steven's laid it out. Like, okay, well, wait a minute.
And I will say, like, as I said, I'm a Sixers fan, so, like, I know what it's like being a fan of a team you think could potentially contend in the East. I'm not saying right now, obviously. I'm not that delusional thinking the Sixers are going to compete. But, like, the East is as wide open as it's ever been. So,
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Why, with Halliburton out, with Jason Tatum out, with Giannis potentially out, you could say we might have the best player in the Eastern Conference.
I feel that way. I feel that way.
Let's go for it. Like,
yeah.
So that's why we are talking potential star trades for Detroit, because like
I know we're talking about this is a Detroit Pistons centric trade episode, but you, Steven, had said like let's make a realistic trade where essentially the Pistons aren't bidding against themselves, which I absolutely agree. Do you think there's another team in the East who could be bidding against the Pistons for Anthony Davis's services? Like, is there realistic? Like, I'm sure there are teams that would want him, but that actually have the real pieces to make it work and to actually push or motivate Detroit to get something done.
Atlanta.
That's what I was thinking.
Atlanta, honestly, I just did a Bird Rights episode, so go check that out, where Josh Earl and I came up with 8 potential Giannis trades. And 2 of them, Josh and I each did a trade with Giannis to Atlanta. Like,
yes, I want him in Atlanta too. Go ahead.
If there's a dark horse for Giannis, it should be the Atlanta Hawks.
Because he had the early portion of his career, he was scouted and seen by Atlanta, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I listened to, I don't know if it was Bill Simmons or it might have just been a Giannis story that was just out as a podcast, but I listened to it and I understood that he had coaches and stuff from Atlanta, and Atlanta was courting him and stuff like that. Like, that would actually be cool.
Atlanta just interviewed Giannis's agent for the open GM job this past year too.
So are you suggesting then that if Atlanta were to make the move for Giannis, that would further motivate Detroit to acquire AD? Or are you saying like Atlanta could be like AD could be like their fallback option if they don't land Giannis?
I think one or the other. I think both could be true.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get an idea, of like the market here.
What about Toronto?
I'm sure Dallas is trying to create a market. What's that?
Would Toronto trade for Anthony Davis?
After just acquiring Brandon Ingram? I guess they have shown, well, that was under Masai's regime, showing a willingness to bet on injured guys. I don't know if this new front office is as open to taking.
I mean, like, those would be the 2 teams. If you said like, if Anthony Davis is going to go to the East, what 2 teams would bid with the Pistons?
I would say no. I would say no for
Pacers?
Toronto because he stunts or he gets in Scotty Barnes' way. But go ahead. You said
what about the Pacers?
Yes, all day.
Because like I love again in the rumor mill, right? Showing that they are looking at guys like Daniel Gafford, showing that they want to continue building and having that roster in place when Halliburton comes back. So what's to stop him from going after an Anthony Davis?
Ivica Zubac as well is another guy that Indiana's been reportedly willing to go after.
Zubac nice too.
Yeah. But like to Conrad's point, like there's people that Indiana would be appeased by. Who's to say Anthony Davis wouldn't be one of them?
Okay. Well, again, so that's why I'm trying to understand this. Again, like, is it because Detroit has all the pieces that they're put in to create that market, to create a bidding war?
Right.
I don't know. But
what about Chicago? Just because like AD is from Chicago.
That's actually the first thing.
I absolutely 100% believe Arturas Karnisovas is going to do this, would entertain doing this.
I think he would. I really do.
The center hub, friend of East Meets West, Mo Bangston.
Yeah, shout out to Mo. That's what I was about to say. Shout out Mo.
He's scared to death, and he's 100% convinced Arturas Karnisovas is going to do this. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like there is more of a market than fans make it out. I understand a lot of fans, the trepidation because of AD's injury history, but I still think there are GMs that are willing to take that risk to a certain extent, depending what the asking price. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on to kind of get a better idea of what really is that asking price. Yeah, because it's like a kind of a weird game of chicken almost, right? Like, But having said that, Steven, you cooked up some other cool trades.
Do you guys want to hear Larry Markkinen or Devin Booker next?
Let's do Laurie. Let's do
Lowry.
Devin is from Michigan. Let's do him last, just for the love.
Okay.
All right. ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all peep the screen because he did his work.
Woo!
He did
Okay,
his
walk
work.
us through this, Steven.
So this one's actually a bigger price for the Pistons to pay than
Wow.
the Anthony Davis trade. But I think obviously with AD's injury history and due to his age, it makes more sense that Larry Markkinen will cost more than him. But this is Larry Markkinen and Kevin Love going to Detroit for Tobias Harris and Jaden Ivey's expiring, plus Ron Holland, a first-round pick this upcoming year, 2026 and 2028, and 2 swaps in 27 and 29.
Okay.
Honestly, I still don't think this is that bad of a price for Larry.
I think this is again, my initial reaction, I think this is both realistic and fair in terms of just the pure compensation.
I was going to say, if you think of the 2026 first is right now pick 29 as what? The Pistons second best record in the NBA, just about second or third.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a late first automatically. So then you have 2 swaps that are unlikely to convey. Maybe 29 does if things go real sour and Utah has an OKC type build. But like even so, like the swaps 27 are basically meaningless. So giving up 1 first, 1 potential swap, Holland, and that's like Ivy again. If you're not gonna pay him, you might as well flip him and get some value for him.
Right.
And Tobias isn't expiring. So, like, it's really not that much. Honestly, if the Pistons did acquire Larry Markkinen, it might be for more than this.
Ron Holland upsets me because I don't want to get rid of him. We lose a piece of our defense. We're giving it up for offense, and that means that our bench is even more bare. So, Lauri Markkinen come off the court, and we don't have like somebody coming in behind Asar Thompson. So, me personally, like it looks good. You know, you made it work and everything monetarily, but because of Ron Holland and what he is trending to be, I don't know that I could make this deal. Like Tobias and Jaden Ivey is one thing, but throwing Ron Holland in there too, like, nah, Kevin Love coming back ain't enough. We need to, I don't know who they have that's a defender, but we need a defender coming back with Lauri. I would feel like. That's a lot of firsts too, because Lauri is like what, 28? I know they swapped.
27, 28.
Yeah, but I mean that's a cost-controlled contract.
Yeah. And
for
I mean
3 years after this season.
Right.
And that means a lot. The cap goes up, exponentially, and he's locked in. I would say, I understand that the appeal seems more to come off offensively. I think that's a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that should be understated. I think that really moves everyone to probably their ideal position, right? Like I think at this point, Asar becomes a lot more of a viable offensive threat because he has a legitimate stretch 4 around him. Also, too, Lowry isn't just a catch and shoot guy. Yeah. I mean, he fills two holes, right?
Yeah.
Again,
he's a true option.
Pistons really need more actual consistent 3-point shooting, and they need more shot creation, right? Again, they still don't have that. They have very little of that outside of Cade. Karras is TBD to see what he can do with that. Who else? Danis gave you a little of that, but he's still staying in this scenario.
Right.
I mean, I get what Michael's saying though. Like, is there someone? Could they part with one of their younger guys? One of like their kind of younger, rangy dudes.
I would almost damn near get him Chaz before I get him Ron Holland. Like I don't know how to feel about that. Like I want Lauri Markkinen because he fits. He fits like a glove here, but
I think it's not really just the picks. I think Ron Holland is. If you're Utah, you need to come. I think if you're Utah needs to come out with one of Detroit's younger guys.
Yeah, Utah.
So
nice after that. Utah would be nice after that, I think.
And honestly, with Utah having Walker Kessler having to go to restricted free agency, do they really want to deal with both Jaden Ivey and Walker Kessler both having to be re-signed in restricted free agency this summer? So, I don't know if they're going to value Jaden Ivey nearly as much. Yes, they do maybe need an extra guard, but at the same time, like, they're going to pay Kessler, they're really going to pay Ivy as well. So, like, Holland almost has to then be the piece going back to make it worthwhile for Utah.
I damn near think, like, if they got Ivy and Holland, that would almost be their 1 and 2 option. Almost like Colin Sexton will be more of a
No.
I don't know if they'll try to force him to be off ball, but I mean, me personally, I would make them damn near my 1 and 2 option. Like Holland, we see what he can be, and I love Ivy. Like he's it, especially like with him and Tobias and Cade. Like Tobias has made it where Ivy and Cade work together. And it's because of you too, kind like you was always like, you know, he's a tertiary passer. Him doing that and being that type of plug-in for what they do on the floor makes Ivy valuable to us because of Tobias. So it's like, if we give up Tobias, do we lose the ability to even have that type of gameplay on the floor? Like, it's gonna be more on Cade, or is Ivy gonna pick it up? You know what I mean? Is he gonna pick up the slack? That's what I'm really thinking about. And then can Lauri Markkanen do it on his own if he's with Cade? Who do we have? Is our SAR gonna step up and be that type of player for the rest of the team with Tobias on? Like that's what I'm really thinking about.
Offensively or defensively?
I mean, offensively, like
I don't think you'd have to. That's the whole point. Okay. You can legitimately run offense primarily or just exclusively through Lowry. You can't do that with any of the other current Pistons. That's and frankly, I kind of agree with Steven, and that's not to like shit on Jaden Ivey. I don't think they would value him. Like I think if this trade were to happen, it's because they want the picks and they want Ron Holland.
And Utah would be excited.
They're not. I don't think they would prioritize Jaden Ivey over Keontae George, Walter Clayton Jr., or Isaiah Collier. Yeah,
they'll be right there though. Like Keontae.
It would be. It would be a bite at the apple. That's the theory I always say. It's another bite at the apple. So like he'd be a piece for them, but they wouldn't value him as like the piece in a Larry deal.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Holland, if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm looking at that, like the young guy that I'm asking for, it's Ron Holland. Yeah. Ivy is salary filler. Like, no offense to him. But again, as Steven's saying, you're taking a flyer with upside, but that's not the main target of this deal. But I understand like Michael's point. Like if the Pistons were, or the Pistons, if the Jazz were willing to throw back, some other kind of wing or combo forward who isn't Kevin Love.
Kyle Anderson.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I think Utah
definitely would take Kyle Anderson. He's solid. He's like role player greatness. You know what I mean? Like we can get him off the bench. We can 6-man him. We could damn near start him. Like
or
fills in.
Is Georges Niang, is he out for the year or is he?
No, he's actually about to be back.
Georges Niang, I would take either one. But last time I checked, right? He and Kyle Anderson kind of roughly make the same amount of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anderson also has another year on his deal, so Utah may be more willing to give him up because they'd get money off the books for next year.
So you're saying, MJ, you would be a little bit more open to it if it was Lowry and Kyle Anderson for that same package?
Yes.
Okay.
All day.
I think Danny would probably same thing. Danny didn't acquire Kyle Anderson to be some future building block. He acquired him because 1, he's salary filler, and 2, he's a piece that could be flipped again, down the road. Yeah. Because I think Utah is finally shifting their focus to their young guys, right? Yeah. Ace Bailey, all the guards that we just mentioned, TCH fan favorite, John Tonje. Okay, all so right. That makes now, but again, do you think Utah would do that? Like,
I'm gonna let Steven go. What you think, Steven?
I don't think I was gonna say I don't think Kyle Anderson would prevent them. Like if it was the same deal I just presented, and then it's just giving Kyle Anderson to Kevin Love, I don't think that's going to dissuade Utah.
But I mean,
because of Danny.
Do you think though that pick compensation is enough to get it done?
2 firsts, 2 swaps. If you're giving Holland, I think so.
Okay. See, again, this is what I'm saying, right? It's consolidation. This is what I'm saying. Consolidation of assets. Because I don't think all these young Pistons are going to make it to their second contracts as Pistons.
Right.
So, I mean, if you had to, would you give up a 3rd first-round pick on top of the right now? If it's 2 firsts, 2 swaps, this year's is going to be a late first that you're giving up. So they may say, okay, give me one more. What would that be in 2020, 2030 first? Then you'd have to.
If they want another first, they have to let us keep Holland. I'll do that.
Yeah. So it's interchangeable, one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they want another first, I'm keeping Ron Holland.
So like a 2030 unprotected then.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, that'd be the theory. The theory if you're keeping Holland.
K to be here.
I feel like the Pistons should be able to do it. However, I could also understand Danny also preferring the 2030
hard driver.
Because he's not necessarily a gambler, but I do think he does believe in like, hey, anything can happen in a given year, right? Like it could be a year where, God forbid, like Cade's out for the year, like Halliburton's out for the year.
I was gonna say, look at the Pacers this year. They were in the finals last year in Game 7, and now they're going to be a top 5 pick.
Right.
So I like it. I actually, again, you sold me on these two trade scenarios. Like
I'm worried for my Devin Booker deal. I admittedly did overpay for Devin Booker. I'm worried Michael's going to keel over when he sees it.
Yeah, but boy, before you show it, I
was going to divert you too. Go ahead, Con.
In terms of, let's set the stage here. Again, you don't need to go just thoroughly. Devin Booker is a top what shooting guard in the league?
3.
At least.
3.
And
so what are we considering SGA? A point guard?
He's a point guard. We had this discussion before.
Do you consider Ant Edwards a point guard at this point?
Anthony Edwards?
I think he has to be.
No.
I think you ask him, he's a shooting guard, right?
He's a shooting guard who's currently his primary ball handler for his team.
Yeah. But he doesn't have more time doing that as opposed to being a shooting guard. So I can't.
But fine, if we were to say that Anthony Edwards is still a shooting guard, is he better than Devin Booker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, yes.
Okay.
So
again, we're saying conservatively.
Hats. I got Detroit on. Devin,
okay,
we love you.
I just want to like for reference here, right? For context, we're saying that we would be trading for at no worst a top 3 shooting guard in the league, in the world. Right. So okay,
Donovan Mitchell or Devin Booker?
Devin Booker.
I'd still go Devin Booker.
It's close though.
Yeah,
it's close.
It is close.
It's close, but I prefer Dev. Like he has more or better to me anyway, facilitating capabilities. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not that we've seen it from Donovan, but I've seen it in Devin. So I'll go Dev.
So then you're saying he's a top 2 shooting guard in the world.
That's what I'm actually thinking about. I'm trying to think of the shooting guards across the league, and
those are the 3. Ants, Donovan
Anthony
Mitchell.
Edwards. I mean, he's better than Donovan, so yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hold on. Let's jump into it then. Let me bring it up.
I already hear Michael's heart palpitations going.
I actually had heart.
Okay, just let's have Steven walk us through it first.
So, admittedly, this is an overpay, but I made it an overpay specifically because I think there would be a massive market for Devin Booker, assuming he becomes available.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, what's the over-the-top deal that Detroit would do to get it done? This one, I have Ivy, Asar Thompson, and Ron Holland in the deal, plus 4 firsts and 2 swaps. Tobias and Duncan Robinson would be the salary filler. They began Devin Booker. I did have them getting Royce O'Neal as again, defensive minded.
He's been balling this year too.
But again, gave them some value on top of Devin Booker because they're giving if we're giving you Asar Thompson and Ron Holland, we need some type of defensive wing back.
Something.
So it'd be Devin Booker, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards gives him a little bit of big man depth, Jordan Goodwin and Nigel Hayes. So again, I know it's an overpay with 4 first. Again, Ivy, I think Phoenix may value because their owner will just pay guys out the ass. The Ishbia. So maybe he does have some, especially if they're getting rid of Booker. Like Tobias is expiring. Yeah. So Ivy, I do think they would value a little bit for Phoenix, especially with them giving up Booker. He would instantly be the primary ball handler and guard there. And then obviously Asar and Holland on the rookie deals are super valuable. Again, maybe I put in an extra first round pick. Maybe you take out one of the 2030 or 2032 first.
Yeah.
But like Phoenix is going to want a lot for Booker, especially because they don't have their own picks. A team is going to have to overpay.
6 first down there.
Well, yeah, 2 of them are swaps, but
yeah.
Is there any way
you want my heart palpitations? Or you want Con to go? Con, you go, because I'm about to have a heart attack over this deal.
Again, I think the way Stevens framed it is that it's true. That's why I'm saying, right, like why I wanted to preface, okay, we're talking about a guy who's a top 2, no worse than a top 3 shooting guard in the world. He's what? A top 10 player in the world? No worse than top 15. I'm very conservative here, right? You can rank him however you want. All I'm saying is Steven's right, is that's why if Devin Booker were to be made available via trade, like teams are going to unload their war chests of assets in order to acquire him. So I understand the point here of where you have to build both an enticing and an aggressive package here. I think this is absolutely fits all that criteria. Again, I thought the Royce O'Neal inclusion is good. I would expect someone back of that caliber if you're sending out both Asar and Ron Holland. I'm just trying to think, like, especially with the inclusion of the 2032 first, because now we're already talking about, right, exceeding the length of Cade's current extension. Like, I would happily give up the 2032 first, even unprotected, if I could keep one of Asar or Ron Holland. My preference is Asar.
Please, God.
My preference is Asar. Yeah. Is there any way that could be done, Steven? You think that could actually be done, or is it no? It's like if you're oh man, who's their current GM?
What's his face? Not James Jones. He's
moved up.
He higher up. Yeah, he higher up.
But anyway, what are your thoughts?
Brian Gregory is our current GM. He took over in May.
Okay.
I mean, Devin Booker, for what it's worth, with his new contract, he has a player option in 2029, 2030. So, like, you're going to have him under contract for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5th year.
Yeah.
Including this year. Yeah.
If he's here, he's not leaving.
I think a lot of it will depend on if this trade were to happen before or after a Giannis deal. Because a Giannis deal is really going to set the market. And people are going to say, oh, well, Giannis went for this, so there's no reason we should give this much for Devin Booker.
Right.
So that's why it's just on its face. I think you're going to have to give up either definitely Holland and Ivy, 3 first, and then at least either Asar or, as Conrad said, that 2030 or 2032 first. For purposes of this, I put in both. That, again, may be a little bit of an overestimation, but that's why, like, Royce O'Neal balances it out a little to an extent. It gets tricky because Devin Booker is going to be 30 years old, I think, in April. So, like, it's not like...
Damn, time flying.
Yeah, if he was Larry Markkanen's age, because Markkanen, I think, is turning 28 or 29, that gives Booker an extra year or 2 of, like, prime basketball. But, yeah, that's where it gets a little tricky. It's like, if I'm Phoenix, I'm asking for Asar for what it's worth. I'm saying Asar, Holland, and Ivy.
In this current... I want your guys' opinions, given that you guys are both Eastern Conference fans, or your favorite teams are in the Eastern Conference. Let's say this trade, again, even though this is more fantasy land than reality, but if this trade were to happen, like both of you guys, Steven, like, where do you think the Pistons would rank? Like, how much closer are they then to like OKC? Or how? Or let's first. How do they clear the rest of the East with this trade?
No.
It'd be either them or the Knicks, in my opinion. For this year, at least. And then obviously when Tatum's back, Boston and Indiana both, potentially back up there next year. But, like, this gives them the opportunity to compete for years to come. And, Michael, by the way, I'm a Sixers fan, for what it's worth.
Oh, no, that's cool. You're just like my friend Chuck. Like, we got a podcast, the what is it called? The Acquisition.
Yeah.
But it's acquiesce and acquisition combined as one word, and she's a Sixers fan. She's like super crazy over them. And
could you hypothetically, or not? Yeah, could you replace Jordan Goodwin with Ryan Dunn? Does that work cap wise?
Most likely. Again, I don't see why I wouldn't. It's a couple $100,000 offhand. I'm just going to say, let me see how much room we have to work with. Yeah, okay. It would work fine.
Can I reply to this?
Sure.
I'm not making this deal.
I can't say I blame you.
Because Devin doesn't necessarily fit the timeline of Cade. You know what I mean? Like, Cade will be, in 4 years still in his 20s, and Devin Booker will be 34. And if he has a major injury or something like that, or he just continues to kind of go down, then there's no point in having him here unless he's going to be efficient. If he's efficient, then he could work alongside Cade. But if he's Devin, then I don't know. Like, it's like I love Devin, but at the same time, what Devin are you going to get? You know what I mean? So I don't trust it as far as like giving out Ivy, Duncan, Tobias, Ausar, and Ron. Like, this deal in particular, I can't do. Ausar and Ron cannot go. Duncan, I understand because he can shoot. One or the other of Ron and Ausar, and I'm pro both of them. I'm not going to neither one of them. We'll have to send somebody else. I don't like this deal at all. I wouldn't make that deal. We're sending depth for one person. My bad, Kyle. Go ahead.
I wouldn't say that. I would say it's more of an urgency to win, like this year or next year, because I would want to maximize Royce O'Neal, both his contract and how much good play he has left in him, right? How much good basketball left. That's why I said, if you're really sending out both Ausar and Ron Holland, it'd be cool to get Ryan Dunn back.
Yeah.
I think, again, one, I feel like it would be a little bit redundant on Phoenix's part to keep all three of them. I understand, again, they all have inherent value where one of them could be flipped for, on a
I like the Nick Richards
following trade. But it'd be kind of cool if Ryan Dunn came back. I know, Steven, you said you had a couple other fun little trade ideas. Looking at this, I have one.
Okay.
I don't know if it really makes sense. What if we said forget Devin Booker altogether, but we stay in Phoenix and we reunite the number 1 and 2 overall picks from that same draft class, right? If we pair Cade with Jalen Green.
Oh. You know how many people in Detroit would be happy about that? They wanted Jalen Green so bad, and I wanted Cade. Oh, we need to get Jalen Green. They just wanted somebody flashy. But Steve,
he's about $33 million, right? He signed like that 3.
I mean, he probably alongside Cade, he would probably look good.
What do you think right now? I mean, obviously, he's been out a number of times this year. Yeah. So I mean, that's probably a good
to start.
Probably in reality, it's probably not happening, right? It's probably not happening. But let's just say he gets back before the trade deadline. He has like a good month or so of good play, like the level of play he was at before these hamstring injuries. What do you think his market is, Steven? Like, what would it take?
I think right now he's still probably a negative asset just because of the contract. I think he'd have to play pretty well for that perception to, be lifted. But that could be an opportunity for Detroit to say, hey, we could get this guy for Tobias Harris is expiring and maybe like a second-round pick or something. Like that's where okay, well, all of a sudden he might suddenly have value when he's in Detroit. But yeah, something along those lines.
I would consider it. I would consider it. So,
Man, y'all got any more like y'all got any left field like deals?
What about Trey Murphy on the Pelicans?
oh my God.
For who?
Tobias at 2 first?
Yes.
26 and 28. Yeah.
I feel
All
again,
day.
yeah.
All day.
Tobias Ron Holland in 2 first.
Why you gotta do that? Tobias Ron Holland.
Like Trey Murphy's on a great deal for the next 4 years at $25 million a year. He shoots, he defends.
It's two sides of me. We get rid of Ron Holland. It's not like he gonna come back after his rookie deal. And I'm thinking in my head, like, he loves to hear the players that embrace wanting to be here. I embrace because it's not been a lot of players that have been like, hey, Detroit. You know what I mean? Over the last decade, 2 decades. I actually love that type of thing. Well, I ain't gonna say 2 decades, because that'd be Chauncey and them. They wanted to be here, but about 15 years. You have to have players that want to actually play for your organization and whatnot. And we have those players. That's why we look the way we look. That's why the team is going the way that it's going, because we're actually getting ahead. And we have people that actually want to be here too. So especially in Detroit, because I hear poverty Pistons. I was hearing poverty Pistons for years, and I got tired of hearing that. So I can't do that deal with Ron Holland in it.
I would do it.
Can't do it. I can't do it.
I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
I think Trey Murphy is phenomenal.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think again, there's a reason why a number of teams, like pretty much every team, is calling the Pistons already. Inquiring about Trey Murphy specifically before Herbert Jones. I think again, if Lowry is like the more, I wouldn't say he's definitely more polished, but I think polished player, between him and Trey Murphy. But I mean, Trey Murphy, to just say they're both like 6'10" plus guys who shoot, does Trey Murphy a disservice? I mean, again, he can put the ball on the floor. He defends, as Steven was saying, just insane length. Excellent rebounder, especially on the offensive glass. I mean, he fills so many needs. And again, he is, when we were talking about a shot creator, I think that's a very fair price if the Pistons could land him for that. And I know I'm as high of a Ron Holland guy, but again, it goes back to what we're saying. Like, we're not paying all of them. It's like, I understand, like, you don't want to have to make that decision now, but you're going to have to make it in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, I mean, the idea, the defensive potential of Cade, Duren, Asar, and Trey Murphy, like, holy shit. Like, I would truly believe you could give OKC fits with that lineup. So
yeah,
I would definitely consider
today. We could, yeah.
What about Derek White?
Ooh,
that's
what do you think? Given his age and everything, what's the asking price? But not that he's like super old, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I still think he's more valuable to Boston with Tatum back than. Yeah. So, I still think it's going to cost a pretty penny. He makes $28 million. Okay. But if you say, okay, here's Tobias is expiring, because again, Boston, we know they're trying to shed money still. Here's Tobias's expiring deal with, I don't know, Holland and probably a 2 first to convince Boston they move him. Like, I don't think Boston's inclined to move him, so it's going to have to be an overpay, in my opinion.
And there are other teams that I think are willing to make that overpay or to put their, to definitely put in an offer to force,
definitely
what some team might feel as an overpay,
especially what he's been showing this year. You gotta overpay damn near.
He's definitely the backcourt mate that Cade has never had and that he needs. You know, no offense to. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Like I've been looking at all the numbers, like, you know, for seasons now. They're not changing. None of the guys that he's played with are, you know, like he can make them look good. They can't help make him look good. It would be appealing. I mean, he's 31. I understand there's like that age thing, but again, it's a very palatable deal. You know, 28 million, like south of 30 for like the next 3 years. As poised of a veteran as it'll get, you know, good locker room leader, you know, and everything like that. That's interesting. I agree. I'm skeptical that Boston would actually move him. But again, I like that archetype, that player archetype next to Cade. You know, like Duncan's cool and everything like that. He's doing what he can, but you know, he should be like some microwave scorer off the bench, right? Not having to be a starter. Karras, I don't know, man. Like, you just do your thing, bro. You know?
Okay, but, well, you got any more, Steve? Any more up your sleeve?
I'm thinking of a possibility of like, what if Portland just kind of is out on the Scoot Henderson project?
Oh,
like could Detroit, like how we just talked about Jalen Green, like could he be a buy low before he gets like someone like that? They have Drew, they have Dame coming back. Denis Advija is like the point guard at least the past month. Like Shaden Sharp, they just paid. Like Scoot could be the odd man out. Like I would love for Detroit to take a flyer on a guy like that.
With the injury too.
Okay, this is where I'd feel bad for. Like I would
legitimately feel
bad. My initial reaction is like, wait a minute, right? I know at times I can come off as like a Jaden Ivey hater. No, I just have questioned his fit specifically with Cade.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think especially as Cade's game continues to mature, it just seems like more obvious to me that like they don't complement each other very well.
Yeah.
So now
I think they're changing.
We'd be sending out like what, Ivy to bring in Scoot, who I think is an even worse fit.
Yeah.
now I feel bad, man. Now I feel like I just bullied Ivy out of Detroit, man. Like,
damn.
What about Jaren Jackson Jr.? That's the last name I'll throw out.
No. Nah. Me personally, nah.
I mean, I would much rather, again, right? Like Murphy is a significantly, like, it's not that Jaren Jackson is a mobile or like a plotting big, far from it, but Murphy like is an active mover, right? Yeah. Movement shooter, very aggressive cutter, runs the floor. Jaren like just gets to his spots. At least we're talking about offensively.
Yeah.
You know? And then same thing. I understand Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't want to take away. He was DPOY and everything. But again, like the idea of what Trey Murphy and again in that scenario, Asar would still be with the Pistons, like what they could do on the perimeter.
Right.
You have like 5 guys who could truly switch all. Like I would rather whatever the price is for a guy like Trey Murphy.
I think Trey Murphy's the guy. And I think that's the most realistic and logical for the Pistons to go after this year.
Plus all of the ties. We got
Joe
Dumars. Right. Joe Dumars is over there, so he might show us love like Kevin McHale showed to.
Isn't Troy Weaver over there too?
Yeah, they're both over there. So they might say, "Hey, Detroit, here." So I could actually see that, especially with the being what it is. I could see them. I could see them actually sending him for even less than what we could come up with. To be honest, like get out of here, go compete somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like that's actually they're actually they look like a contender. You will go over there and be a contender. It would be a Joe Dumars deal for sure. Like I could see that.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, not only was this fun, but like,
especially
not only
Steven.
like again, not only did Steven show us like how this can be a realistic possibility, but I actually think now that I've heard some like talking it out with you guys, hearing like the rationale both on court and cap wise.
Yeah,
these trade rumors don't seem as crazy, you know. having actually discussed it with you guys. So this is cool. This actually makes me really interested now more excited to see what Detroit does or doesn't do,
And the best one might be one of the ones that we weren't headlining. It might be, bro.
Like I said, yeah, it could be something a little bit still impactful, but a little bit more ancillary. Like you very well could move Jaden Ivey, but it's again for like a nice 7th or 8th man.
Yeah.
You know? So cool. All right.
Yeah, so thank you, Steve, for coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you and see your work and what you got coming up as well.
So you guys can follow me on Twitter at @the_NBAGEL. That's NBAGELL. You can check out all the work at the Center Hub. All our socials is the Center Hub _BB.
Center Hub.
You could check out our website at thecenterhub.substack.com. Listen to the One and Done podcast or any college basketball coverage. Go check out if you liked an episode like this, check out the Bird Rights pod. It's my NBA front office, nerdy type pod where I'm actually going to be doing with Corbin Ford an NBA trade deadline primer, like early preseason, trade deadline primer, because again, December 15th is like the unofficial start of NBA trade season.
Yeah.
So we'll hope to get that out Monday or Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. Where we're going to talk about all 30 NBA teams and what they could do at the deadline. Maybe it probably will end up being a 2-part episode if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on and taking the time.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. For all of us here, East meets West, y'all have a good night. And yeah, make sure y'all tune into the Pistons. We play Friday? So be ready for that. All right. We out.